I was thinking about this last night too. There are still a bunch of free agents in the league that are floating around, which was really interesting because I hadn't thought about it. But guys who are veteran players that help teams win, and this is what we were talking about, Bruce Arena. And people who know the league know how valuable players like these are. I'm going to just rattle a few out. Ethan Finley still doesn't have a club, I believe. Some of these might in the last few days have gotten clubs. Steve Clark, who was in Houston. Tim Melia, who's been a fantastic goalkeeper. Both of those guys, by the way, I'm sure would go somewhere and be a number 2 or a 3 and help develop someone. Bobby Wood, still without a club, I believe. Johnny Russell, who was at Kansas City forever. So it's just interesting. And there's a lot more, but it's just interesting that I wonder how much longer these guys go without. They're obviously going to have to take a pay cut at this point, but those are the types of guys that help you. They don't have to play every game.
No. Here's the thing.
They really help you win.
Here's the thing. Those guys will resurface, and I'm certainly not an agent. I dealt with enough of them, and I'm not their agent. But what ends up happening is these guys they want to play football and they want to play at a high level, and they still have a lot to offer. Early on, you have a market value that you hold yourself at. The longer this goes on, I think someone will get them at a snip. I do. I think these guys will come and they'll have to back themselves and say, look, I'll take slightly less money, but I'll go to a team that I can contend and compete and structure the contract so that if I have a good season, which I believe I can, then I'll go on and get a better contract. But these are players that you named that I just look at and think, Johnny Russell's a good player. I played against him.
Very good player.
Clark, Melia, 2 really top MLS goalkeepers. Finley has a lot to offer. We played with Bobby Wood. I mean, so I think there's, they'll be able to get picked up, and there'll be a couple of teams who end up getting a real steal late on before the season.
What I always thought in these situations, and I did this at the end of my career, and I'll talk about that in a sec. When you're one of those players, let's just pick a number. Let's say they thought they were worth $500,000 a year. Mm-hmm. In the end, they're going to probably get offers for $250 or $300 or something. I would go to the club and say, fine, pay me $300. Every time I step on the field, I want $10,000 or $20,000. Like if I'm that valuable, then you're going to pay me for it. And that's fine. And I remember at the end of my career, I was doing my last deal and I was negotiating with the Galaxy. Well, my agent was, and I really wanted $4 to $4.5 million, right? For a year, for the last few years. Jesus. And right as I was doing it, Clint Dempsey came back into the league, and Seattle gave him, I think, $6 million a year. And all of a sudden, I was like, did I say $4 million? Let's make that 5.5 or 6.
Jesus,
and the Galaxy,
man.
I'll never forget. They were like, just because one team pays someone something doesn't mean we're gonna, do the same thing. Yeah. It's all different. And I said, okay, fair enough. And I said, fine, we're gonna get to $3.5, $4 million. But if we win, every time I step on the field, every time I start a game and we win, or if we go to the conference championship or we win MLS Cup, I better get paid. And in those last 2 years that we won, 13 and 14, I probably made over $500,000 just after the season, just in bonuses each year. And I was like, okay, fair enough. And that's fine. Like if that's where these guys are at, fine. Then let's do it. And let's make sure that they're incentivized. But if they step on the field and do well, they should get rewarded.
I mean, look, that's an incredible insight into that negotiation. What I would say to these free agent guys, there's very few Mo Salahs. What do I mean by that? As you get older, you get better, or you sustain, right? So now he's locked horns with Liverpool and gone. Liverpool are like, well, we don't want to break our pay structure for a guy who's over 30. And he's like, yeah, but there's guys over 30, and then there's me, right? And
there's guys who score every game.
Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah, so which is fine. But like I look at my own situation. I love playing football. It was everything to me. My contract finished when I was 40 years old. You remember this at Denver, and I was making a really good wage. But if I still had anything left in the tank and I wanted to play, I'd have gone to Colorado and said, "What do you want to offer me? Right. Like let's talk about this. I know I'm going to get my salary cut in half. Yeah. I'm cool with that because I love being in the dressing room. I love playing football, and I'm not getting better, but I can still compete, right? And so, I think you just have to look in the mirror sometimes."